For the past 50 years, the Fender Rhodes has stayed as an icon of cultural relevance. Through generations, it's researched as a key tool that artists use, of all genres, to innovate and discover new sounds with. The character that can't completely be recreated is what makes Fender Rhodes such an invaluable instrument. It's kept it relevant even with cheaper alternatives on the market, as it holds much more value than just its sound. But originally, the Rhodes wasn't even made to have its own sonic personality, rather a version of the piano that could be taken around more conveniently. But to truly understand why the Rhodes is what it is today, we have to go back in time about 80 years. The year is 1942. World War II has been waging for 3 years, and Harold Rhodes, a piano teacher in his early 20s, finds himself in the US Army Air Corps, where he's been providing piano lessons and entertainment to wounded servicemen as a form of therapy. Of course, carrying a regular-sized piano from bedside to bedside wasn't an option, so Rhodes set about creating something more practical. Using leftover aluminium tubing from B-17 bombers, he concocted a 29-note xylophone-like instrument, which would come to be known as the Army Corps lap piano, or the Xylet. It might have been the catchiest name, but upwards of 125,000 Xylets were put into production, and the seed for what would become the Rhodes sound was born. After the war, emboldened by the relative success of his lap piano, Harold founded the Rhodes Piano Corporation and produced the Rhodes Pre-Piano, the logistical, technical and stylistic evolution of the original lap piano. This was the first electric Rhodes piano and featured a built-in amp, 38-note keyboard and wooden top, the production and maintenance of which Rhodes kept busy for some time. A little further down the line, in 1959, Rhodes entered into a partnership with Leo Fender, yes, the Fender that's famous for all the guitars. They began manufacturing the next Rhodes iteration, the Fender Rhodes piano bass, which utilised the bottom 32 notes of the piano and was used liberally by the Doors keyboardist Ray Manzarek. Leo Fender was bought out by Fender by CBS in 1965 for $13 million, and CBS released the Fender Rhodes Mark I that very year. From that point on, various technical and aesthetic tweaks were common from one iteration of the piano to the next, as the demand for the instrument grew stronger throughout the world. Later, in 1974, CBS decided to ditch the Fender name and renamed the piano simply as the Rhodes Mark I. Almost a decade later, as the instrument enjoyed a mainstream popularity like few before it, the Rhodes MK2, Rhodes Mark II, hit the market in 1979. The evolution of the piano continued and the cult following of the Rhodes sound continued to grow. For many Fender Rhodes fans, such as engineer, professional Rhodes player and current Rhodes Chief Product Officer Dan Goldman said, "It's a sound that simply couldn't and cannot be beaten. It went beyond the actual instrument itself. The sound kind of transcended the actual physicality of the hardware. Besides the aesthetics, it looked cool, tone, it sounded amazing, and creative freedom it allowed artists. The success of the Rhodes piano can also be attributed to another factor. You could turn it up. Before the Rhodes, pianos couldn't match the noise made by guitars, horns, drums and bass, and so were often relegated to the background of any given composition, until they were picked up for a solo moment. The Rhodes changed all that and enabled the black and white keyed instrument to enter the mix in a way it hadn't been able to before. The reason a piano isn't in an orchestra is because the piano doesn't blend, said Rhodes icon and pioneer Herbie Hancock. A soloist instrument, because it doesn't mix with anything, but the Rhodes can hide in between the character of acoustic instruments, or it can be on top. In 1989, the then head of CBS, William Schultz, bought Rhodes for himself, making an end to the CBS era, which around 250,000 Rhodes pianos were built. The first iteration under Schultz's ownership, the Rhodes Mark V, has been considered by some fans the ultimate Rhodes. Before Hancock worked his magic with the Rhodes, Miles Davis was arguably the first to push the instrument into the limelight by requesting that his pianists play Rhodes instead of traditional pianos. After Davis came Duke Ellington, Bill Evans and Hancock, and then the likes of the Beatles, Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder. The cat was well and truly out of the bag. There was a crazy amount of number ones that featured Rhodes pianos in the late 70s and early 80s, says Goldman, who spent a large part of his life playing Rhodes professionally as a touring musician. That sound was literally part of everybody's life. If they knew about it or not, it was totally ubiquitous. The Rhodes' iconic warm tone colour and the stark difference between the low and high pitches is another reason why it was set apart from the original instrument it was trying to replicate. The texture that the low and high pitches provided allowed the Rhodes to morph into different instruments at once. In 1987, Rhodes was bought again, this time by Roland. Instead of producing electromechanical pianos, Roland, which was more interested in the Rhodes name than the instrument itself, decided to produce made keyboards with built-in Rhodes piano sounds. Harold Rhodes wasn't happy. He wouldn't have one in the house, his wife Margaret Rhodes told the New York Times in 2001. And though much about the look and feel of the Rhodes piano has changed over the years, the basic concept for every new model has always been designed around Harold Rhodes' original design. So what about now? How has the Rhodes managed to stay relevant in the contemporary music scene? When researching for this project, I got to test the Yamaha Digital P225, the Nord Piano 4, and some digital versions through DAWs to test how well they really replicate the Rhodes sound. But what I've learnt is the sound isn't easily replicated. They began to sound too digital, muddy, and more of a synth-like mix than the acoustic mechanical sound that the Rhodes is famous for. What makes Fender Rhodes electric pianos sound so good? Why is it so hard to reproduce in other digital and synth instruments? Well, mostly because the Fender Rhodes isn't a synthesizer. It's an electromechanical device, a complex solution to a complex web of problems. A piano is purely mechanical. A hammer strikes a string and makes a note. They have to be heavy to support the string tension, and they need some sort of pickup or mic to be usable on stage. Harold Rhodes looked at the glockenspiel and thought, what if we had hammers that hit a bar instead of a string? No tension, so no huge box that keeps them together. Then what if instead of a microphone we used a magnetic pickup to give us something we could amplify? If you play a Rhodes Unplugged, you'll hear a quiet tinkly sound, not unlike a glockenspiel struck with a soft mallet. Plug it in and you get a magnetic amplification, which tends to lose some of the high end. Result is a short, sharp sound with not a lot of harsh high frequencies. The problem with using a synth or program to reproduce the sound arises as we understand the Rhodes as a complex system. You can get close by analysing the relevant harmonies and building up the sound that way, or by sampling the sound and playing the samples. You can get close, but the chaos of both mechanical and electrical systems makes it hard to do perfectly. It's similar to all those other synth sounds based on real worlds. I mean, they can get close, pretty close, but they're hard to get perfect. Finally, the world has another electromechanical Rhodes again, designed to honour the Rhodes name, legacy and sounds in every conceivable way. Recreated by fans for fans, the Rhodes Mark 8 is an authentic reimagining of a classic, a brand new chapter in a well-worn and much-loved saga. It's impossible to reinvent an instrument as iconic as the Rhodes piano. Instead, Rhodes are building it from the ground up with the highest quality parts, the most cutting-edge design and very best engineers. For Rhodes loyalists around the world, the Mark 8 is a new chapter in Rhodes history, not a new book, aimed to create the best version of a Rhodes piano ever made. Nothing more, nothing less. But what are the best songs that the Rhodes has been included in? Hits that you may not know of. Here's my list of some of my favourites. Firstly, I Can't Help It. Came out in 1979, written for Michael Jackson by his third cousin Stevie Wonder. This is played on a very clean, bright-sounding Rhodes, with a little bit of that vibrato effect which was built into the suitcase models. If you haven't seen them, suitcase models don't have legs and sit on a giant speaker, which adds about 100 pounds to the weight. That gave it a vibrato effect which sent the signal back and forth between the left and right speakers. Have a listen for it now. That intro is also interpolated by Pharrell Williams, who used it in his song with Jay-Z, Frontin'. Come on. Oh! Dance. The Rhodes sound is really recognisable in that one with that deep bass line and those lovely chords, but it also has that clean bell-like sound. Redbone by Childish Gambino is another great example that was released with his soul funk album Awaken My Love back in 2016. Have a look at this one and see how it really replicates that 70s, 80s feels that we all know and love. Also listen to the deep and bell-like sounds in it.
And then we have the Rhodes. Going into the pre-chorus. Let it spooky. I always dreamt of.
That was Ludwig Göransson explaining how he helps make the song. He's a Swedish musician who was also famous for writing the Mandalorian theme. Butterfly by Herbie Hancock. This is from the 1974 album Thrust. This is a very warm Rhodes sound with a ton of reverb, but it sounds really good. It's got sort of a muted sound. Check it out. You Are the Sunshine of My Life by Stevie Wonder, a classic song from his landmark record, Talking Book, released in 1972.
You are the sunshine of my life. That's why I'll always be around.
Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel from his 1977 album, The Stranger.
Don't go changing to try and please me. You never let me down before.
He uses a phaser effect on this intro, which really gives it a distinct sound. Space Cowboy by Jamiroquai, a fantastic upbeat song with a warm, enlightened sound. It's got mystical synths, funky chords, and yet surprising vocals from the lead singers. Another personal favourite.
Everything is good and round. I'm here again with a sunshine smile upon my face. My friends, a glass at hand, and all my inhibitions have disappeared without a chance. I'm bad.
Classic, Just the Two of Us by Grover Washington Jr. and Bill Withers from 1981. This is one of my all-time favourites, and it uses the phaser effect, which you hear in so many of these amazing Rhodes piano examples. Clean bell-like sounds, meaning the pickups and hammers are actually closer to each other. Now, complete opposite is Everything in Its Right Place by Radiohead, which uses a distorted Rhodes for a deeper and crunchier tone. This is more of a Bach sound, which means the pickups and hammers are positioned further away from each other. So for the past 50 years, the Fender Rhodes has stayed as an icon in cultural relevance, a tool for working and trying new things, and an unsung hero in the modern music scene. I hope now you can understand the true innovation that the Fender Rhodes brought, and now you can hear it in some of your favourite songs. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thanks for watching. Miss, give me 20 out of 20.